wonderful singing voice or a great segue is the Squid, piloted by Arius, the Menhat. For the Riders, it has a Artemis, a Gatling, and a Banshee. Equally awkward segue to Zedeon piloting the Dragon's Rage, a Goldfish with a Watcher, a Carronade, and a Carronade.
And for the East Colonial, I can say it, the trading company, of course. We got the Euthaniel, the Moth, right? Captain Scrowbeard's ship, of course, piloted by Merwin. It is a Pyramidion with a Carronade and an Artemis on the front, and a small flag and a Gatling on the left-hand side. And their ally is the Narwhal, captained by Scorbeard himself. And he is a Hawacha fish with a Gatling right and a flint on the left side.
Indeed, and we have now them approaching one another. The Narwhal is heading towards the ribs. The Ephemeral Moth is quite high. I'm a little worried about the separation between these two ships. I mean, both the enemy ships are faster than that Pyramidion, at least in principle. And so if the Narwhal is caught with its pants down, it could have problems here. Even if it's not, if the Mimic gets in on the Ephemeral Moth, the Narwhal will have to Hydro up to engage, and then the Menhat has maneuverability options on them. Although the Narwhal is rising up slowly here, they're spotted. They're going to fire on the Menhat. Oh, this could be... Wow, that's... The Menhat has basically exposed their engines to them. Although the Watcher wasn't fired continuously there. Now the Dragon's Rage is engaging the Narwhal. Ephemeral Moth is turning to engage Menhat. Menhat is returning the fire with Gatling to the Ephemeral Moth. Their armor is broken. No Banshees coming out now though, and the Menhat has managed to get their Artemis onto the engines of the Menhat. Narwhal suffers an armor break, suffers a balloon loss, and has suffered about 5% permahull damage from that Watcher. Ephemeral Moth is getting Banshee to death. Narwhal turning to engage Menhat. Most of the shots go wide. Narwhal now eating a ton of Watcher, having just been popped. They're likely to bottom out here. This could be utterly brutal as the Narwhal is crushed beneath the Dragon's Rage, and the Ephemeral Moth speeding in as fast as they can towards their ally to try and help. But if they lose their balloon here, they could be in deep shtuck, and they have lost their... oh no, it's the Narwhal has lost their balloon. Ephemeral Moth's balloon goes down, they bottom out, they stop. Oh, that's it, the Ephemeral Moth is down. Narwhal, Scrowbeard is desperately trying to get out of there, and that desperation unfortunately is rewarded with a ram by the Dragon's Rage.
I'm gonna say that was a beautiful run. That was a pleasure to watch. It looked good at the beginning of the engagement for the Riders. They did have the enemies divided up the way it probably is most preferable to them, having the Squid going after the Pyramidion and the Goldfish trying to keep the Goldfish busy. Let's see if the trading company can turn this around. In my belief, if the Pyramidion manages to get their hands on the Goldfish, they will suffer a lot of damage. That is the Riders' Goldfish. And of course, other way around, if the trading company's Goldfish manages to get a hand on the Menhat, it will definitely slow them down at least.
I see. I'm not convinced that this doesn't work slightly the other way around. The Menhat, I think, is a bit of a nightmare for both of these ships, because if it does what it does here, which is get behind the Ephemeral Moth, it's going to disable its engines. If, on the other hand, it is engaging the Narwhal, it can dodge the Watcher relatively effectively with vertical mobility tools. Oh, the Ephemeral Moth eating lots and lots of explosive damage there. Armor is down. I think a Banshee's about to come out. Banshee's first shot goes right wide, but the rest goes into the hull, at least initially. Narwhal is now taking a Watcher to the bosom, whilst Ephemeral Moth is destroyed, and Scrowbeard again finds himself on his own. If he tries to run, the Squid is just going to Artemis him. If he turns around and fights, I think he's dead. I think this is going to be very difficult for him to disengage. The Menhat has more than enough balloon to rise up and engage. I think there's nowhere for him to run. He's getting Gatling, he's getting Artemis, he is getting, well, everything. This is not where he wants to be.
Yeah, absolutely. This 2v1 unpreferable with the amount of Carronades, Banshees, and Artemises. Not a place you want to be. Balloon and Hull are both down, and the Narwhal. This looks like they will be down. The question is, where is their ally going to spawn in?
I would assume as far away as humanly possible. Dragon's Rage trying to get a ram in there, but the Menhet's Artemis kill stealing like a boss.
Not sure, I think it was the ground, to be honest.
It could have been the ground, yeah. The Menhet was credited with the kills, so, but that's probably from the Gatling. Ephemeral Moth has spawned in, and they have spawned in about as far away as they can. The problem, of course, is that their ally is going to have to spawn next to them, and their ally will be spawning in buff-free and without the ability to get those down. If the Menhet and the Dragon's Rage have their way, they are closing quickly. Ephemeral Moth is sort of returning fire here. At this range, it's not going to have a huge impact. I'm worried about the... so I think the problem that the East Chaladon Trading Company have here is that there's no nice way around for this to go. The carrot is somewhat effective against a squid, but it's not working out for them every engagement so far. The Watcherfish is somewhat effective against a squid, but again, I don't think a direct matchup would favour them, and one-on-oneing a ridership with a comparable loadout is often unpleasant, as we're sort of seeing here. The Dragon's Rage consistently getting, if not an upper hand, fighting the Narwhal to a standstill, and that's just allowing Menhet to take the Ephemeral Moth on. It's hydroing up, it's going to try and disengage. I think all that's going to do is provide them with Banshee fodder, because now they have to choose between rebuilding their balloon or camming it. They've chosen to rebuild it, I think, to repair it, which makes a certain amount of sense as the Banshee's not coming out, but that's because the Banshee's being reserved for a kill shot here. There's the armor break, there's the Banshee going out. The armor is brought back up really quickly, but the Narwhal is getting rammed to death down here. The Dragon's Rage is doing a very good job of keeping the Narwhal pinned. The Ephemeral Moth is taking a ton of fire. It's a race to see which one of these two dies first, I'm afraid, at this rate. Although the Dragon's Rage eats a ton of Watcher, the Narwhal loses their balloon to a ram. They probably will bottom out here. Oh, and down goes the Pyra.